Congratulations, you're live on Football 360, your #1 football show on television. Here we talk about football in 60 minutes. It's been another weekend of international football and local football. Tonight, the big headlines we'll be talking about will be how Ghanaian clubs are preparing for the start of the Ghana Premier League, which starts on the 20th of February. We'll also be talking about the transfer deadline day that comes up tomorrow in European football. We're talking about 10 o'clock will be the transfer deadline day. We'll talk about the big transfers that we expect to go through by 10 o'clock tomorrow. And also we'll talk about Ghanaian players who made it through in this January transfer window. We'll also focus on European football as usual. The English Premiership was on break this weekend, but there was the FA Cup. We'll also talk about Spanish La Liga, big game, Atletico Madrid against Barcelona yesterday. We'll also talk about that Italian Scudetto features the Inter Milan against AC Milan. Also talk about Real Madrid also playing Espanyol this evening. We'll keep you posted on all the games live here, right here on your Football 360. My name is Nuti Vafata. We'll go for a quick break. When we do come back, I will introduce my guest and we'll get the show started. We're back on Football 360. It's kindly proud to be associated with DSTV Super Sports, your world of champions, sportsextra.com.gh. My name is Nuti Fafata. I've been joined by Henry Asante Chum of Star FM. We'll be doing the discussions with regards to the biggest stories in the last 1 week, most importantly over the weekend in the world of football. So we will start. You're welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nuti.
Okay, quickly we'll start off with clubs across Ghana. Getting ready for the start of the Ghana Premier League. It starts on the 20th of February, we're told. And there have been a couple of friendly games going on. What I know is that Wafa played with Dreams FC, your club, and it was a 0-0 game. And there was Hasselfolk against Ifanya Uba, which Hasselfolk also won 2-0. Asante Kotoko winning 2-0 against Bechem United. Antallies winning, drawing 1-1 with the Busia draws. Heart of Lions 4-1 against Planes FC. So obviously the clubs are getting ready for the start of the league. You you're a journalist as well and also a member of the management team of Dreams FC as well. What is it like preparing for a new season, and do you think that Ghanaian clubs are doing anything different this particular time?
Well, thank you very much. Let me start from Dreams FC first of all, then I'll come to the other teams. I think that for Dreams FC, it is something that the team has been waiting for from the time we qualified for the Premier League. We've always been preparing. We started our recruitment very, very early. Got the likes of Mozart, Ajete, Isaac Akron, a couple of other players, Eli Keke, Aaron Amwa. And several other players to come and beef up the team, because when the season came to an end, we realized we had some weaknesses. We needed to strengthen the team in order to succeed in the Premier League. So the recruitment drive started work immediately after the Division 1 league. And I think that Coach C.K. Akono has had enough time to blend the players who qualified the team from the Division 1 and then the new entrants who have come into the team. We've played several friendly games. We've been to Winneba for residential camping. We were there for 1 week before the Christmas festivities. We went on break, played a couple of friendlies, went to Swedro. So the preparation has been very, very intense. And even during the last week, on Wednesday we played Liberty Professionals. The previous Saturday we went to Achem Tafo to play Planes FC, and then yesterday we played against Wafa. It is likely we had already played against Inter-Allies, which we lost by 2-1, but I think that it's been a very, very good exercises that the team has gone through with respect to pre-season friendly games, the coach trying tactics, trying to see which players will be able to blend effectively with the others. And I know that it hasn't been that bad. When the season starts, I think that we are very much expectant of getting some.
So are we likely to see probably a more competitive season?
Yeah, from what we see, it is going to be very competitive. Nuti, let's not forget the fact that a team like Kumasi Asante Kotoko, for instance, started the G6 in second D and had to share the team into two. One bit went to Libya to go and play against Ali Tripoli in 2 separate friendly games. And then the other side also stayed back in second D and won the G6. They have made several quality signings. I am talking about Kumasi Asante. David Duncan really wants to win this season's league. Now, if you have a team like Kotoko, which is able to break into two and still they have the quality to play in Second D to win the G6, then it tells you that there are several quality players in that team. Now, a side like Aduana Stars, they are very, very quiet in Doma, but they are doing something very positive. They've made some good signings. They've signed Joseph Ado, under 17 goalkeeper. He won the under 20 in 2009. They've signed Noah Mati from Bechem United. They've signed Richard Impon, formerly of Kumasi Asante Kotoko. They've signed one young chap from Tema Youth. I think that Bright Ajay, yes, very good striker from Temayu. I think that they have done a lot in terms of recruitment. And Aduana Stars is a team that hardly lose players. From the Emmanuel Kwakos and the Godfrey Sakers and all the players that qualify them from those days when they won the first league title, they are still around. And they have beefed up by bringing. Absolutely, they hardly lose players. Aduana Stars don't easily lose players. They've kept them together, and they are still around. I think that is going to be one of the teams that we need to watch out for. Midiema, they won the FA Cup last season. One of the best players on the local, one of the best teams on the local scene. They still have Tom Strand, who is becoming, very consistent in terms of Ghanaian teams. Started with Tema Youth, went to Bechem, got to Midiema, won the FA Cup last season. He's becoming consistent on the local front. He's still around. You come to Hearts of Oak. They've had a couple of issues, but I think that gradually they are picking up. So I strongly believe that even sides like Wow Stars, whom we haven't heard much from, are also preparing on the quiet. And once the dates for the commencement of the league was announced, we realized that all these teams are very much happy. A team like New Dubiasi United, for instance, they are down. They are preparing. They don't get involved in a lot of the media hype, but they are getting the job done. Inter Allies, another typical example. They are doing a lot of wonderful things. Defending champions Ashanti Gold as well. They've lost a couple of players, but they've beefed up as well. So I think that we are expecting a very, very, very keenly contested Ghana Premier League campaign this time.
Okay, I mean, we'll probably do quite a lot on the Ghana Premier League this evening, but quickly we'll go for a quick break. But when we do come back, we'll talk about the Ghana transfer window specifically. Remember last week we kept on talking about how most of the players, when they are transferred, most of the clubs when they do the transfers, is almost what we hear as undisclosed fees. We need to know how much these clubs spend on buying players. But again, what happened over the week was that those figures came out. Some particular media houses disclosed the figures involved. When we come back, we'll focus on the discussion on the figures that transpired in the transfer window in Ghana. We'll be back in a moment. Well, I was still live here on Your Football 360. It's live every Sunday evening from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock. Here we talk about football in 60 minutes. We've been joined by Ampofo Ankrah, a football journalist as well. Thanks. Sports journalist, but we talk football here, so we'll keep you as a football journalist. Anyway, you're welcome to the show.
Thank you very much.
Okay, good to have you. But quickly, we'll talk about the transfer window that just ended. The Ghana one actually ended last week, Wednesday. Yeah. It was my first time knowing that we actually had a transfer deadline day. We had to meet it. We woke up and we heard quite a lot about it. But I don't know how true these figures are. I don't know whether you've seen them.
Yeah, I've seen them.
Yeah, but we're told that
I can't speak for the others, but I can only speak for my team.
Okay, so it'll be good that we have you so that maybe knowing whether these figures that represent Dreams FC here is true will probably help to authenticate or add more credibility to these figures. But we're told that Kotoko spent 850,000 Ghana cedis in this particular transfer window. Ashanti Gold spent 700,000. Aduana Stars spent 600,000. House of Oak spent 450,000. Mediema FC spent 400,000. Inter spent 350,000. Dreams FC spent 250,000. 150,000 to Techiman City. Wa All Stars 100,000. Hazakes 560,000. Bechem 50,000. Chelsea 50,000. Wafa 40,000. Edubiasi 30,000. Liberty 30,000. In all, you're talking 4.533 million. And I remember seeing the story that Ghana spent, what, $1 million in the transfer market, just around that figure. It's slightly funny, but most of the figures are round figures. But it makes you wonder how credible those figures are. But quickly, maybe before I come to you, let me ask you, Dreams FC, did you spend 250,000 in the transfer?
250,000
Ghana cedis in the transfer market.
We spent more than that.
You spent more than that?
Yeah.
So when you say more than that, close to that,
we spent
or probably double of that?
We spent more than 250,000.
300,000, 400,000, 500,000?
We spent something a little in excess of 300,000.
A little in excess of 300,000. Yeah. So let's say even like 350,000. So, okay, 250, 350, not too far from it. But I mean, do you believe these figures?
Well, I mean, it's about how the club structures are, run. What checks and balances are there? I think the GFA should be able to provide us with figures. It shouldn't be a secret, should it? You know that player A went to this club for X amount. If it's undisclosed between the two clubs, fine.
But the FA needs to know.
They are the ones who would
who sign off for probably.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So, and I think it should be made public.
I mean, it's strange. I don't know. I'm tempted to believe that the media houses or journalists were pushed to speculate these figures. Because somewhere last week, one of the big things we discussed here on the show was the fact that there was a transfer deadline that had ended, and compared to Europe, you were able to know how much was spent in the transfer window.
There is one
and
thing,
nobody knows in Ghana.
There is one thing which is common. And because of that, we cannot afford to hide figures. Nowadays. Yeah. Now, the system is that if Yao is transferring his player to my club, he has to enter into the system and release the player without giving me a letter. And he must state how much money I have paid to him in the system. And then I will okay and say, I agree. I have received the player. So the release club sends a letter to the FA and I am copied. And then me, the club, accepting the player, also accept the player by notifying the Football Association. And that is the transfer matching system. Okay. It is common across the world.
So a bit like the way
that is the reason why
David De Gea moved from Manchester United to where they were waiting for the facts.
You need a release letter, you need agreement letter, you need a copy of the contract, you need duration of the contract, and all these put together. And then you need a correct and certified medical examination form by an authorized and recognized doctor, and all are put into the system. And then after that, it is okayed. And FA says we have received and we have accepted the registration. Now, once it is authenticated, all those things cannot be, secret.
There will be less speculation.
And that's what FIFA says is the new system. That is why at 12 midnight on that fateful day, everything came to a close.
Yeah. So yeah, it means that, however, there's some level of truth in these figures. 4.5 million Ghana cedis. Yeah, so that's about what, $1.2 million, $1.3 million in a main transfer window for Ghana football.
Very conservative.
Very conservative, but again, someone will say it's a lot of money.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a lot of money. We didn't think no one ever thought we spent to this extent. Should FA be more excited about the fact that these things are published? Because for me, when I saw this story, what was exciting to me is that the media can bring do such a story, which for me the FA should really be more excited about.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, from what Henry's saying, there are no shortcuts. There are no secrets. You need to follow the lay-down procedure to protect the players, the clubs involved, and to make it legally binding. And for that reason, it's very transparent. So I'm surprised we need to speculate still, and some clubs will be pushed to the wall as to exactly how much they spent. I guess also it's because some clubs, where they get their funding from, might not be necessarily open to public disclosure. So they may be cautious in, for example, revealing that we've been able to spend 300,000 or 400,000 Ghana cedis when, in fact, you know that the club, or within them, they know they've only got 200,000 Ghana cedis. Where did they get the extra 200,000? So maybe this is to keep in-house secrets. But if the FA has got these structures in place internationally as well, the licenses,
now we are on the same platform.
Yeah, you cannot.
You even have to register officials of the team.
Right.
So as I sit here, I am a registered management member of Dreams FC.
Right.
Okay.
And if my club wants to change me, they must write to the FA. It has to go to FIFA, and then I am changed.
Okay.
Okay, so Henry, it's good to have you here today. So we're not speculating a lot. We can actually have a classic example of a Dreams FC. Okay, we've seen these figures here: 850,000, 700,000, 250,000. You have made a very good point as to how do these clubs get their funding, and that's critical when you start seeing numbers like Kotoko is spending 850,000. It's not confirmed, but around that region. As it stands now, you were a club member of Dreams FC. Do you know which sponsors you're going to have for the Premier League come 20th of February? As a club.
Not as a national.
As a sponsors of the league.
Yeah,
and do you know how much you were expecting from the FA to be able to cover up for something like this?
No, I as a club, I don't know.
Have you been informed by the FA that, okay, we're likely to get this sponsor?
No, as it stands.
Do you know how much you're getting?
No.
You don't know?
No.
Does it worry you?
So does it worry you?
It is a worry.
So you're spending what? You said you spent in the region of about 350,000.
Yeah.
How do you make that money back?
Well,
how do you run the club?
For the
Because this
Dreams
is just
FC
buying.
model,
Yeah.
for the Dreams FC model, we have partners in Europe.
Okay.
We've got partners in Belgium, Germany, and Holland.
Okay.
And now we're getting some partners in England as well. Fortunately, the Baba Rahman deal has done a lot of good to the club.
Okay.
So now
It's open doors.
It's open doors now. Even some sports partners and agents, what have you, want to work with us.
Okay.
Now, what is also good is that at Dreams FC, we give players who are found in the woods an opportunity. And as we speak, before the end of last season in the Division 1, Benjamin Tete was transferred to Standard Liège of Belgium. Before the start of this season, one of the best players in the Division 1 by name Emmanuel Ejesowa. He is a kid brother of Daniel Eje, who is now at TP Mazembe.
Okay.
He has also signed for Anderlecht of Belgium. So, I mean, these are some of the few cash inflows that we get to help our cause and to push our administrative style. Quite apart from that, we have built structures. I mean, we as a club, for instance, we have as we speak, we have 5 sponsors who are already helping us. We've got an entertainment sponsor. We are working on a water sponsor. We are working on a beverage sponsor. We have a microfinance company, MWell, which is our official microfinance company.
So it's worrying. A club like Dreams FC can, yes, fine, they are working on some sponsors, but they've confirmed.
And it's likely we will get a major sponsor or a headline sponsor before the start.
Right.
Yeah, but you see, you've done this internationally for a while. The reason why it's very worrying, and a bit from my background, is that here we are, that the league's owners or the guys who run the league have not confirmed their sponsors before the start of the season. You've got clubs running around trying to get sponsors to be able to get in to run their teams. What will be the challenge? Because doesn't it get even more complicated for the FA? Because here you are, the guy has a microfinance sponsor sitting on him now who's going to run his club. If the FA works to get a very big microfinance company who's ready to push in money for the league now,
there is a problem.
There's a problem.
Yeah, I remember some years back when you had, the telcos fighting for the league, and they wanted that space on the shirt. Every club must have, if it's Spacephone or Vodafone, whatever it is. So if, let's say, Dreams FC get a deal with Airtel, for example, a huge deal, and Airtel will be the headline title sponsor, and the league also gets a big deal with Vodafone.
What happens?
What happens,
But what I know is that the league sponsor, I don't know, but sometimes it depends on the negotiations here and there. What I know is that the league sponsor is entitled to the shoulders of the jersey,
and the club.
And then the club, you take the front cover.
But if a big sponsor comes in, he could negotiate that. Look, I want to pay $10 million.
That's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's about the negotiation.
You want to pay $10 million to have that, and for as a league now, that $10 million to do us a lot of good.
Yeah,
and you probably, if you were told what 2 or 3 months ago,
you would know how
you
to
probably
how to
deal with.
But I'm impressed. I mean, getting the microfinance, water, it's very impressive. But I think we should help the clubs more. Try to guide them in these very difficult times. It's not easy, getting sponsors to run your club for the season. And if at this stage there's no headline sponsor, it is quite worrying. And a headline sponsor would want to countdown, have the razzmatazz, you know, the hype, all the noise before the league starts. So bringing one in.
But the critical question you ask yourself is that why are we not getting any big sponsor interested in the league at this particular point?
I think it has to do with legalities.
Yeah.
It has to do with legalities. I think that around this time, the legal team of the GFA must be in the position to tell us something. I have listened to the communications director, who is of the view that, well, as far as the FA is concerned, the company which sponsored last season's league is still the headline sponsor of the league.
But that's a joke.
But that, absolutely.
The company has come out on countless occasions that they are not the headline. They
yes,
are not the
they
sponsors of the league.
they have said that they've suspended their sponsorship. Now, I was thinking that, well, the FA will go meet them and come to a compromise. That, okay, well, unfortunately, your policy direction has changed. We understand, but we need a compensation of so and so because we must start looking for a new sponsor because you've thrown the competition off gear and it is going to affect us. Then straight away they must start speaking to prospective companies who are willing to come on board. As we speak, it's just about 3 weeks to the start of the league. We don't know who is the title or headline sponsor. It affects your preparation. It affects your planning. You cannot even tell that before kickoff, you have this amount of money. Because a club like Dreams FC, for instance, Nuti, we have adopted the Dehu Park. And Dehu, there hasn't been league in Dehu for the past 12 years or so. We need to go through a lot. Change washrooms, change media venue, change this. We are even.
It's a total, package security.
What as media people, what do we do at this particular point? To promote the league and as well to be able to bring out issues like this, because this is very serious. You're going to a league in 3 weeks' time. You don't know how much you will earn from the organizers of the league,
and who's going
to pay that.
The painful aspect is complex. Now you have journalists who have gone, what's the word to use? Rebellious, underground. They've gone extreme, as it were, because they feel when you bring the issue up in a way that should be, okay, we have a problem, this is how to resolve it, the response by the FA is just not good enough. So they have now had to adopt a more radical approach of getting the issue out, and the FA feels that is attacking the GFA. So if you attack the GFA, they either will not respond or they would respond by attacking you back, and this is what we've had. So the media, you have a situation where the media, who should be helping the FA, at loggerheads with the FA, not the entire media, but critical sides of the issue.
And secret.
Yeah. So you can't fight the media because you need them to run the league. Whether you like it or not.
Harry,
Luti.
In terms of promoting the league, you think the media has done enough?
I think we have done enough. This afternoon, for instance, when you are changing your dial,
radio, it's commentary
from one radio station to the other,
pre-season,
they were running commentary on pre-season games.
They've been starved. I mean,
and yes, the season ended in September, and we are now in January of a new year. There is no competition. Station owners are even worried because if the league kickstarts, marketing departments of radio stations can go out and look for sponsorship. So station owners are worried. Now, I am a journalist and I would love to wake up on a Sunday after church and go to the stadium. Even if my team is not playing, I still want to work. You understand? And I have been deprived of that opportunity since September in 2015. I think that, as a matter of fact, I think that my colleagues are doing a decent job. Yes, sometimes there are a few issues that I don't agree with them in terms of how they address the issue. I mean, it is a major worry approach, and sometimes the kind of words that we also use, because we are speaking to a number of people. Now they take your word, they take my word, they take your word very, very seriously. Now, what you say on the radio, what you say on the television goes a long way to affect their thinking.
And not to cut Henry, and that is where the FA, if I was speaking as an FA person, the FA would say that, but you media guys have been given the league a bad name. You go on radio and you just, wash down the league.
Do we actually give the...
No, but it's a perception.
Why do they have the perception that we give the league a bad name?
Because of the negative correspondence, the negative issues that are raised, which the FA feels is unfair. Talk about the positives.
But then again, Yao, I think that if legitimate issues are raised, we need to look at it like that. Look at the content and not where it's coming from. For instance, Nuti, if the league is ongoing 2, 3, 4 weeks, it's getting exciting.
Nobody will talk about.
And then PLB says we are taking a break because we have to prepare for a certain tournament. Where is the vibe?
Yeah.
It's gone down again. Automatically, people will talk about it. People will speak to that issue. So if you do your things correctly, if you do your things right, if your fixtures are out, if your league centers are not problematic. I raised an issue here the other day. I got club owners calling me to lambast me. I'm saying I am not encouraged to go to Pando to run commentary again, because I will go and stand on a concrete wall to run commentary. I don't know when it's going to break, and I could lose my life.
And again, not to cut you.
There are
local
TV
TV
issues.
Viasat, Metro TV, TV3.
Let's put the game on the TV.
Yeah, Super Sports is ready to.
But Lions have been relegated, so we even go there again.
Yeah, he's just. But Super Sports are ready to do more matches this time round. But what I'm hearing is that the clubs are not happy. They don't want that. I'm not too sure if it's true. I hear the clubs are kicking against.
Why are they kicking?
I don't ask a club man. Is it true anyway, or is it? It's a rumor.
Because that's another source of revenue. You get, apart from the headline sponsors, you do have the media, the television rights sponsors.
Listen, Nuti, some years ago in Ghana football, you had to take a photograph of a player, take it to the GFA. He must cross his hand around his ears, and then if he's able to meet it, he is registered. Now, I remember what led to Stephen Appiah's registration. Stephen Appiah was in the queue of Great Olympics.
Really?
Nia Ibonte and Co picked him from the Olympics queue, brought him to the House of Folk queue,
right.
gave him a house jersey, took a photograph of him, went to register him ahead of Olympics.
Right.
Today,
it
cannot happen. We need to move with time. The modern trend, we must grow. If you are a club and you are saying you don't want cameras at your league center,
but if you cannot have an FA, that
we need to grow.
No, but you see, that's strange. If you cannot have an FA or probably an organizing league board to be able to enforce something like this, then it's really worrying. Because that's where we come back to issues like, for example, when the season starts, you cannot enforce people going for press conferences. If those things cannot be done, then it's worrying for big sponsors to come in. I keep on saying this on this particular show over and over again that, yes, I'm worried if Ghana League is being... Super Sports pays, $700,000 for Ghana League and pays $1.something billion for the South African League. I am not talking about the fact that we equally get $1 billion, because even the economies are different. But $700,000 tells you that there's got to be something wrong. The fact that maybe our league is not being packaged well and not attractive enough for them to pay more money for. And that's something we need to critically look at.
Reason to pay more.
So yes, the clubs could be worried that, or may not be interested in the cameras taking over, because maybe what they are getting from the Hajiko or the deal is not worth it. Because again, let's look back at
if it is for monetary reasons, I am for it.
Yeah, because $700,000, I mean, if you put that money, if you share that money, how many clubs are in the league?
16.
16. How much are they getting for that?
It's not
and
enough.
Here you are talking about this $250,000 you spent in the transfer window. We're talking about how you've renovated the Park. You've got to run a club throughout the whole season.
You're buying jerseys, you're buying boots.
You're paying. How are you going to do that?
Bonuses, salaries. Even in the off-season, you are still paying salaries.
How are you going to do
that? You
that?
need to buy new bars. You need to fuel your bars. Player injuries, and you are paying staff as well. Man,
you don't want to know. You don't want to know.
It's not easy.
It's not easy. I don't envy the club owners at all. Maybe again, that brings the question where we've got to be talking about club licensing, whether we have the right people owning clubs in the country. Maybe it's time some people need to give up on this particular ownership of clubs. Maybe there's got to be some few measures here and there, and some people need to sell off and stop, because it's business now, and the passion bit will not work anymore, because some of the
and they are beginning to realize that the passion bit is over.
Yeah, some of the salaries you hear people being paid, or some of the players being paid, is ridiculous. I mean, it is incredibly unacceptable.
How did they survive?
How did they survive? People paying 300 CDs, 250 CDs. And I mean, something has to change in our football. Anyway, let's look at other transfers in the January transfer window, especially when it comes to an end tomorrow, in terms of the ones involved with Ghanaians. Remember Kevin Prince-Boateng, who was on a free, moved to AC Milan. And just want to take the opportunity to announce that AC Milan won against Inter Milan 3-0 in the Milan derby, the Derby de Madonnina. Definitely good news for AC Milan and also for Kevin Prince-Boateng. You got Daniel Amate moving to Leicester City, which was a big one, like I told you. Christian Achu to Malaga, Derek Boateng to Oklahoma City, Haminu Dramani, who is also unattached, to Telina Ifonet, Estonia, Richmond Boachea Atalanta to Latina, Patrick Asma to Accra United FC to Atalanta. And I've got Matthew Amon attached to W. Baroni, and you've got Michael Anaba Elche to Alcoyano. And you've got Richard Gatje from Ebusian Draft to HJK Helsinki. Then we've got Colistano from Right to Dream to Nordjylland FC. So those are the transfers involving
to Atlanta in Italy.
Yeah, involving Ghanaian players in the January transfer window. Obviously, the big one there is going to be Daniel Amate's move to Leicester City. We've been talking about it for the last 2 weeks. Big one for the young
Finally
chap.
happened.
A couple of years ago playing for Interlice.
Yeah.
Now
a few
he's-
years ago.
yeah.
Yeah, from the streets of Teshi to Interlice to Djurgården of Sweden, and later to FC Copenhagen, where I think that at FC Copenhagen he really, developed into a good player. I watched games where he played at right back, central defense, in the midfield as well. Interesting to note that Leicester City have been chasing him or monitoring him for the past 2 years, just as Newcastle United and Olympique Marseille. Now, he was supposed to move in the summer transfer. Unfortunately, he didn't qualify for work permit at the time. So the deal actually fell through. Olympique Marseille were ready to pay the 7 million euros, the asking price of FC Copenhagen, but Marseille knew that they could do business in January.
Right.
So they were ready to pay the money and then keep him there, and then in January they will sell. And obviously they were going to make millions. But Copenhagen realized that no, let's continue holding on. We can also make that money in January. And it is good that Amate has signed for Leicester City. I listened to Claudio Ranieri 3 days ago. He was talking about the reasons why he bought him. He says he plays in 5 different positions on the field. He's 21, he's ambitious, he's hardworking, he's disciplined. So he wants to bring him into the team, and he understands the philosophy of the club.
It's always encouraging. When
These are very good attributes.
Yeah, it's encouraging when the coach says that.
So let's talk about one other young chap who is not here. That's Andre Ayew. There was a lot of talk in the January transfer window that he was going to move to Sunderland. I never believed it because, you know what, why would he move from Swansea? No matter how difficult Swansea was having the season they were having, I didn't think he was going to move.
Allardyce actually made a comment that they were not, in pursuit of the player, So for him to actually specifically talk about it, it could have also been a bait just to test the waters to see if Swansea were even willing or ready to let him go. But I don't think so. It would make sense to let the Ayew go at this stage.
He's been their best player all season, so I'm a bit surprised they want to let him go.
If they have to go,
as well.
it will be from the boardroom. I don't think any coach would want him to go. The board may decide that for business purposes, if Liverpool are interested, if a big club, let's let him go and get maybe 2 or 3 other players. But I do think he will remain in the Premiership.
Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for coming through. It's always a pleasure to have you.
Did you know Jurgen Klopp lookalike is in Ghana?
Who's that?
You see him. He's from Denmark, Nordjylland. He's the CEO, and if you see the chap,
he looks like maybe he's coming. Maybe
he says when he's in town, people, hey, Klopp.
In fact, we should invite him to the show. Should get us to invite him to the show next weekend so we can have.
That's a good story. Right to Dream and Denmark.
They're the partnership.
During the week we'll be hearing more about
good
that.
to see that. Anyway,
Nordjylland.
so this has been another edition of your Football 360. Remember to catch Joseph Hansen tomorrow morning on Sports Sectors to catch all your highlights when it comes to European football action and the biggest stories across the world of sports. Remember, Novak Djokovic has just won the Australian Open for the sit time. Definitely that story will be on Sports Extra tomorrow. Happy belated birthday to my producer Isaac Dako. It's been a pleasure working with you. Want to say happy birthday, wish you all God's blessings and the best days of life. Yeah, that's